Walk through Leyton at night, and you might not notice it. The silence between footsteps, the faces that don't look up. You pass a corner shop, still open past midnight. A kid on a bike watches you, says nothing. You think he's just a kid, but someone's already told him your name. Around here, things move quietly. The deals, the warnings, the disappearances. They happen in silence, on backstreets, in stairwells that reek of ammonia and sweat. No colors, no signs, no loud music, just order and fear. Ask around, and no one's heard of them. But ask the right person, and you'll see their eyes shift. Marley Boys. Not a name you say out loud. Not if you want to walk home without someone following. They don't play by the old rules. They don't need to. No Instagram, no drill tracks, no fame, just control. The kind that turns city blocks into silent war zones, and the kind that got a lot of people, especially kids, killed. What you're about to hear isn't just a crime story. It's a warning. And if stories like this matter to you, stories that don't make the front pages, but shape real lives, hit like and then subscribe. Because the truth about the Marley Boys is just getting started. Let's go back and start at the beginning. East London has always been a pressure cooker. Immigrant roots, council estates stacked like concrete skeletons, lines drawn in postcodes, trust earned or taken. Leyton, Walthamstow. These aren't just names on a map. Around here, they're boundaries, borders, sometimes battle lines. In the late 2000s, one name started making noise in this part of town, the Beaumont Crew. They were loud, flashy, they repped hard, but like most street crews, they had a short shelf life. Arrests, infighting, power gaps, and power gaps in places like this. They don't stay empty for long. The Marley Boys moved in quiet, no fanfare, no drill videos, just a different kind of logic. They were younger, smarter, and more calculated. A crew of mostly Somali teens and young men, kids born into two worlds, neither of which felt like home. For many of them, London wasn't opportunity. It was survival. And postcode beef wasn't just about territory. It was about identity. Who you were, where you could walk, and who might be waiting for you 2 blocks away. They weren't in it for clout. These guys were running it like a company, and the product was fear. And what started as a tight-knit crew from Leyton was about to become one of the most feared criminal networks in East London. This is where the story begins. Not with fame, not with blood, but with structure and the cold, deliberate rise of the Marley Boys. To understand how the Marley Boys built a drug empire, you need to understand how the game changed. Back in the day, crews controlled territory. A block, a postcode, maybe 2. They moved product in bulk, face to face, street to street. It was risky, loud, messy. Police could see it coming. But the Marley Boys didn't want to play that game. They were watching something else, something bigger. A new method spreading across London. County lines. Here's how it works. Instead of selling drugs on your own streets, you send them out. You find smaller towns where police are softer, competition's light, and demand still strong. 1 phone, 1 number. That's the line. You text customers in bulk, offer crack, heroin, whatever they want. Then you send someone, usually a kid, to deliver. They used kids because they were easy to control, no criminal record, easy to hide. Some were groomed, others were threatened. Either way, they were disposable. One line could make £2,000 to £3,000 a day. The Marley Boys ran more than 20 of them, but it wasn't just about the money. It was about the structure. They ran it like a business. Safe houses, runners, layers of separation. Every level was protected. Just enough distance so no one could talk if they got caught. They were tight, efficient, like a franchise. We'd hit 1 spot and 2 more popped up. And back in London, they kept things quiet. No music, no online fame, just silent control. From the outside, it looked like nothing. But underneath, they were controlling towns they'd never even been to. Still, in any business built on fear, something always breaks. Someone talks, Someone steps out of line, and when that happens, the violence comes fast. What happened next wasn't business anymore. It was blood, and it would put the Marley Boys on every front page in Britain. This didn't start with murder. It started with money. But in the world the Marley Boys built, power is fragile, respect is everything, and revenge is the only currency that matters. What followed, over 2 years, would leave East London scarred, not just by bodies, but by fear. Quiet fear. The kind that makes neighbours stop talking, makes kids walk the long way home. It started in Walthamstow. Elijah Dornelly, May 7th, 2017, a Sunday evening. 17-year-old Elijah Dornelly steps out of a dessert shop on Hoe Street. He doesn't make it more than a few yards. 2 men appear from the dark. One of them pulls a knife. It goes in fast. Deep. Once. Elijah collapses. People say he died trying to stand back up. Elijah was part of the Marley Boys. Young, quiet, loyal. But his death wasn't random. On the street, the whispers pointed to a rival crew. Team Raw, just miles away in Stratford, a gang growing fast, loud, aggressive, and dangerously close. Elijah's murder was the first message, a warning shot that started something none of them could stop. Casem McCrane, November 16th, 2017, 6 months passed. And then, the Marley Boys answered. 18-year-old Casem McCrane is walking through Walthamstow. It's just after sunset, a quiet street. 4 men surround him, pin him, no shouting, no chance to run. The knives do the talking. Casem is stabbed again and again. He bleeds out before help arrives. Police later trace the attack to Hamza ul Haq, a rising Marley Boys leader. Ruthless, strategic. This wasn't a robbery. It wasn't a personal grudge. It was revenge. A name crossed off the list. Joseph Williams Torres, March 14th, 2018. Then came the mistake. March 14th, Forest Road. Joseph Williams Torres, 20, is sitting in a parked car with a friend. Just talking. Engine off. Windows down. 2 figures approach. Calm. Silent. They raise a gun. Fire 2 shots through the glass. Joseph dies at the scene. But here's the tragedy. He wasn't in a gang. Wasn't even on the police's radar. Just wrong place, wrong time. And a face that looked too much like the wrong person. That's how fast it was. That's how reckless the streets had become. Police traced the killing back to Hamza ul Haq again. Another hit. Another order. But this time, the cost wasn't just gang on gang. It was innocent blood. Jaden Moodie, January 8th, 2019 then, the murder that made headlines across the world. January 8th, 2019, a school night in Leyton. 14-year-old Jaden Moodie rides a small moped through a residential street. His hood's up, his bag slung over one shoulder. He doesn't know he's being hunted. A stolen black Mercedes glides in from the shadows. No headlights, no plates, no warning. It speeds up, hits Jaden head on. He flips, crashes down hard. He's still conscious when 4 men jump out. No questions, no shouting. They stab him 9 times in under 10 seconds. Then they vanish. Jaden never stood a chance. He was linked to a rival crew, the Beaumont gang. Young, cocky, seen posting online. To the Marley Boys, that was enough. In less than a year, 4 young men were murdered, each one colder than the last. No warnings, no mercy, and no mistakes, except Joseph. By the summer of 2019, East London was on fire. The Marley Boys weren't just defending turf, they were enforcing fear. Schools became hunting grounds. Instagram became surveillance. A single like on the wrong post could cost you your life. And behind it all, a new name was being whispered. Hamza ul Haq, the ghost at the center of the storm. The killings weren't random, they were strategic, surgical, corporate. But in a world built on fear, something always cracks. The killings had shaken the streets, but they hadn't stopped the business. If anything, fear made it grow. The Marley Boys got quieter, smarter, more careful, but they made one mistake. They thought no one was watching. Behind the scenes, the Met Police had begun building a case, not just on one murder, but on the machine behind it all. They called it Operation Takistan. It wasn't fast, it wasn't loud, it was hours of CCTV, burner phone data, underground surveillance. Detectives tracked safe houses, noted license plates, followed kids from train platforms to distant towns, Ipswich, Norwich, Hastings. What they found was staggering. Some kids were making 5 trips a day, same bag, same stop, same eyes, scanning the platform. One girl, just 15, had gone missing for weeks. They found her in a flat 3 hours from home, addicted, bruised, no phone. And every road led back to the same line, the same names, the same silence. In late 2018 and early 2019, the raids began. Simultaneous hits across Leyton, Walthamstow, Stratford. They seized cash, drugs, knives, but more importantly, phones. One of them had 73 active contacts. Another, a note hidden in the Reminders app. Fix him. ASAP. That was the break they needed. From there, the cases started stacking. First on that list, Ayub Majduleen, January 2019. Police already suspected the Marley boys were behind Jaden Moodie's murder. But there were no direct witnesses, no weapons recovered, no fingerprints. Then, a clue. Forensic teams recovered a black glove left at the scene. Inside it, Majduleen's DNA. CCTV linked the glove to a BP petrol station hours earlier. Ayub, wearing the glove, buying Lucozade. He was already on the radar, a known Marley affiliate, and by the time they arrested him, he was 19. December 2019, Majduleen was found guilty of murder. The judge called it a ferocious and cowardly attack. Life imprisonment. Minimum term, 21 years. Next, Hamza ul Haq, not a foot soldier, a leader, cold, methodical, known to those on the street simply as H. Police believe ul Haq orchestrated not 1, but 2 revenge killings in 2017. First, Qasim McCrane, stabbed in Leytonstone. Then, Joseph Williams Torres, shot dead in a parked car. Mistaken identity. Investigators traced command patterns through burner phones and call logs. He never held the weapon, but he gave the orders. In court, his face didn't move. The courtroom, silent. He was found guilty of both murders. Life imprisonment. Minimum term, 36 years. These weren't the only arrests, but they were the biggest. Over time, more names surfaced. Some pled guilty to drug trafficking. Others were caught in possession of weapons or running county lines. Many were just teenagers. 15, 16, 17. Pulled from train stations with burner phones and small bags. Most of them never made the news. But each arrest chipped away at the structure. By 2020, the Marley boys weren't gone, but they weren't invisible anymore. The empire they built, quiet, calculated, ruthless, had finally been exposed. This story didn't end with a final arrest or a clean headline. Some lines were shut, others replaced. The faces changed, but the blueprint remained. Police won battles. But the war against grooming, poverty, silence is still going. The trials ended. The headlines moved on. But the streets didn't. In Leyton, Walthamstow, Stratford, you can still feel the tension. The Marley boys lost key players, but they didn't disappear. Their structure, their tactics, still used, still spreading. County lines never stopped. If anything, the arrests showed how profitable it could be. £2,000 a day for a single phone. No warehouses, no street corners, just kids. Recruited, threatened, sent out. Still moving drugs from East London to smaller towns. Places like Basingstoke, Lowestoft, Gillingham. Some aren't even 15. For the families left behind, there's no closure. No undoing what happened. Jaden Moodie's mother still speaks to schools, warning kids. But she says it's like shouting into the wind. Qasim McCrane's friends stopped going out after dark. They say his name's been erased, like he never existed. And Joseph Williams Torres never even knew the men who took his life. Wrong place, wrong car. Just another postcode mistake. It's easy to blame gangs, to point at names and mugshots and headlines. But what about the roots? What about the 13-year-old who gets groomed because he's hungry? What about the kid who says yes because saying no means a beating? What happens when silence is the only thing that keeps you alive? This wasn't just about drugs or money. It was about survival. The Marley boys didn't create this system. They just mastered it. And unless something changes, someone else will take their place. So now I'll ask you, what would you do if your postcode was a prison? If silence was the price of staying alive? If you found this story shocking, don't forget to subscribe for more real crime stories the mainstream won't tell you. Drop a comment below. What do you think is the solution to gang violence in cities like London? And if you want to see how a pub shooting in Salford exposed a gangland cover-up, click right here. Thank you. We'll see you next time.